disdain or success? With just a few days left for President Barack Obama in office, we look at his foreign policy legacy and what he's leaving behind.
We have a call out on Twitter at AJ English, and we want to know what you think. How has Obama's foreign policy affected your country over the last 8 years? Connect with us with the hashtag AJNewsGrid.
Leah, it's been 8 years since Barack Obama took the office, and now he's leaving in a few days. What's the online community saying about his foreign policy legacy?
Well, we asked our community what they thought about Obama's time in the White House. And overall, we had a mixture, quite a mixed response, from praise to disappointment. We have this up on our Twitter handle at AJ English. Rahul here out of India, he said that he thinks Obama's time in office actually helped the relationship between India and the United States. Lee in Canada also saying, that Obama has been a strong ally for the most part, however, criticizing here his stance on the Keystone Pipeline, saying that was not good. Across the world, and then specifically in Europe here, according to this Pew Research study, saying that the rise in confidence with U.S. presidents has increased under Barack Obama. Here you have the graph showing it being relatively low, the confidence across Europe with George W. Bush, but that, of course, here spiking quite dramatically when Barack Obama took office in 2008. And we asked one of our WhatsApp users to send us this, and this is what he had to say out of London.
I think Barack Obama is very popular in the UK, particularly amongst younger people, and certainly people in London. I think he's seen as a leader on liberal causes, on human rights issues. But at the political level, I think sometimes his foreign policy was not as pro-British as we've been used to. And certainly there were times in which he looked like he was showing a bit of contempt for British prime ministers, which was unfortunate. But for the most part, I think he's been looked at very positively and he'll be missed.
We also looked into Obama's legacy and impact in the continent of Africa and trying to compare between when he first took office till now. Though his ratings of confidence in Africa are relatively high now, it used to be much higher. Here's something that one of our followers in Cameroon had to say.
The coming of Obama brought a lot of joy and hope. In Cameroon, we imported about 4 boxes of campaign materials distributing to friends and family. But at the end of 8 years, we are disappointed because of the foreign policy in Libya. This caused a lot of instability in the region and the rise of terrorist organizations like Boko Haram, which have displaced a lot of people in Cameroon and have killed so many people. So this is the major disappointment we have.
And First Lady Michelle Obama is, of course, leaving a legacy of her own. Our colleagues over at AJ Plus took a look at this.
Turn up for what? I can do some. Can you?
I can do some. I was just wondering if you could do more push-ups than I could do.
Stop being nervous, raise your hand, use your voice, and keep moving on. And don't worry about what other people think.
Thank you for inspiring all Americans, including myself.
Did you prepare that?
That was so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Hello.
This
was not what I was expecting. I was eating pizza bites yesterday in my bed. And now.
So how do you guys feel about getting kids pumped up and excited about eating healthy
Oh, well, it's
foods?
wonderful. Emma loves healthy foods.
They help us grow healthy and strong.
Yeah,
check out these muscles.
Let me see.
Oh, that's a good muscle right here.
Let me see your muscle. Whoa.
You want to say hi, Michelle?
No, you are not. Cheer up. Just keep moving.
I want to close today by simply saying thank you. Thank you for everything you do for our kids and for our country. Being your First Lady has been the greatest honor of my life. and I hope I've made you proud. Thank you.
Well, Leah, you were explaining earlier about the conversation that's going on online when it comes to Gaza and the impact the blackout is having on Palestinians who are living there.
Right. Well, what's interesting here is the conversation about the electrical outage in Gaza is largely coming from within the Gaza Strip. You have on Twitter pictures like this coming up, people taking to social media to draw the stark contrast between what they're calling here the rest of the world and Gaza, which has been very much left in the dark here. The hashtag that is surrounding this conversation is hashtag Bidna Kahraba, which in the translation means to we want electricity. That's something that Yusuf here has been tweeting about, saying that while you're warm in your house and having electricity, don't forget about those people who have nothing to stay warm. He posted these pictures here of his community sitting around a fire on this January winter and just trying to stay warm. And some nonprofit organizations, this one here was created to highlight that in Gaza, when lights go off, that taps run dry and that sewage systems tend to overflow, something that Bashar Ashur here took to Twitter to talk about, that his concerns that this will affect water and the wastewater services, because for him, he's only had 4 hours of electricity a day. Omar Gharib also talking about this, saying that it was so cold that it was too cold for him ultimately to sleep. So during an ongoing conversation here that's several years old, really.
And Leah, we were playing that soundbite from the Hamas member who was talking about the blackouts. We see Hamas as well as Fatah, both of them blaming one another for the power cuts. So who are people online blaming? What are they saying?
Very much of the same thing. Doreen, people are blaming Hamas, blaming Israel as well, and then also the Palestinian Authority. Very much a blame game going on online. But we would love to hear from you and what you have to say about the story, if you're following it, or if this is the first time you've heard it. You can connect with us with the hashtag AJNewsGrid.
Now we'll go to Myanmar because there have been reports of attacks against the Rohingya, and they have been raising international concern. So the UN's human rights envoy is visiting areas where the army is accused of the atrocities against the minority group. But the president's spokesman is dismissing the allegations as fake news. Here's Florence Lewis. She reports from Sittwe.
If there's a place that lays out in stark terms the discrimination faced by the Rohingya community, it's in a small part of Sittwe town. Ong Mingala was one of the first stops in Rakhine State for the UN Human Rights Envoy to Myanmar.
I can't comment on it now because it's all on my reports and the previous reports. But after this visit, I will be presenting to the Human Rights Council in March, and by then I will come up with another report.
The government doesn't recognize the Rohingya as an ethnic group. They're regarded as illegal immigrants from Bangladesh, though many have lived here for generations. The Muslim minority here live segregated from the rest of the mainly Buddhist population, since intercommunal riots displaced more than 100,000 people in 2012. For Nujan Begum, who has heart disease, access to medical care is limited to visits by volunteer doctors.
I feel like I can't breathe properly, like my heart is going to stop. Since my children can't work and support me anymore, I'm praying to God to take me, for death to come.
The Rohingya can only come and go with permission from the police and are accompanied by armed guards each time.
People here aren't free to speak what's truly on their minds. We've had a plainclothes policeman tail us throughout our visit to Ong Mingala quarter. Many people are simply too frightened to talk to us.
Reports of atrocities against the Rohingya emerged after soldiers launched a crackdown in response to attacks on border posts in October. The UN says 65,000 people have crossed the border into Bangladesh to escape the violence. Survivors tell of murder, rape and torture by security forces, with the Malaysian Prime Minister alleging genocide in Myanmar. The Myanmar government spokesman told Al Jazeera over the phone that most of the allegations from the international community are false, and now it's clearer and easier to identify fake news. The Rohingya have suffered discrimination and persecution for decades. Lee's visit is highlighting their plight once more. Florence Louis, Al Jazeera, Sittwe, Myanmar.
And concerns about fake news with regards to Myanmar is really widespread. Leo, what are you finding?
Yes, Doreen, especially when it comes to the Rohingya issue, activists are trying to shed light on what's been happening, but are often targeted themselves and accused of spreading fake news. Nay Sen Lwin is an activist based in Europe and is Rohingya himself. He runs a site called RohingyaBlogger.com. He asks us not to share his exact location for his safety. He too has been targeted and blamed for spreading fake news. We rely on sources like Nason to bring us information from the ground, though we cannot independently verify these accounts. Reports like this often match those of human rights organizations like this one from the Human Rights Watch from November, showing the destruction of Rohingya villages, a story he also covered on his blog. He sent us this video describing how his work is often targeted and what he does about it.
In the last week of December 2016, I have posted a raw story on my Facebook that a Rohingya child died after having vaccination. The government picked up that story and made official announcement through the state media and television that I am spreading the fake news. But later, I verify everything with the villager, and I have posted my response on Rohingya Blogger website in English and Burmese language, and I have written there that how the parent of the child were threatened and forced to sign a bond, and they were also warned not to tell anyone that their child was died because of the vaccination. Even Myanmar government is defaming me by name. I will never give up, and I will keep continue my reporting through my social media and our Rohingya Blogger website, and I will keep cooperating with the international media outlet.
You can always connect with us about this story and any others with the hashtag AJ Newsgrid.